Welcome and thank you all for tuning in today. I hope you're ready for something absolutely astounding because what I'm about to share is one of the most extraordinary stories in numismatics. A tale of one single cent piece minted in 1978 in Denver that has been pegged at an almost unbelievable value of $291 million. Yes, you heard that right. $291 million for a 1-cent coin, and it's not just hype. It's grounded in an incredible series of errors, mistakes, and rare anomalies that make this penny perhaps the rarest, most coveted coin in the world. Imagine holding in your hand what is usually pocket change, something almost taken for granted, something we scarcely notice, and to find that one small coin actually embodies an entire universe of rarity, of misprint, of error, of misplacement, of design flaws so unusual that collectors, dealers, experts, even governments might balk at the price. But there are precisely these factors that make this 1978 penny so valuable. So sit back, ponder this journey with me as we explore every conceivable mistake, error, misstrike, die crack, doubling, off-center, planchet flaw, metallurgical oddity, min-mark misplacement, and every whisper of authenticity or doubt, every possible scenario that turns a common 1978 Denver cent into a coin of astronomical value, and let's weigh the possibility that such a coin might truly exist. Or might be simply the stuff of legend, myth, speculation, or rumor, and why, regardless, people are talking about $291 million. First, a little background so we know what we're dealing with. The standard 1978 1 cent is a Lincoln cent, struck in Denver, copper-plated zinc, or depending on alloy used that year, bearing the profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. As with every circulating cent, thousands upon thousands of them were produced, so in their regular form they are dime a dozen. Nearly worthless above face value except for those in perfect mint condition. But this particular one is claimed to have multiple extreme errors, several overlapping mistakes, that compound to produce such rarity that only one, or perhaps zero, might exist. Let's dive into what those alleged errors are. 1. The die pairing is claimed to have been used incorrectly. A die meant for another year or another mint was used for part of the striking process while the die setting for 1978 was meant to be dormant. Thus the mint mark, or the D mark for Denver, is misplaced or misaligned on the die, resulting in an upside-down, off-center, or even missing mint mark in some impressions. Imagine a coin where the D is shifted so far that it overlaps with Lincoln's bust, or is partially struck into the rim, or is omitted entirely because the mint mark punch never pressed fully. That's one mistake. 2. The planchet itself is wrong, either a planchet intended for a different denomination, for example the zinc cents that became standard only in 1982 were introduced later, but suppose a planchet of pure copper or some earlier alloy was accidentally used, or even a planchet of silver composition or a foreign planchet or bronze, giving the coin an alloy mismatch that might oxidize strangely, look different in tone, or weigh differently. Perhaps this coin is struck on a planchet meant for a foreign coin, or even on a planchet twice clashed, or planchet missing lamination or with severe lamination errors, flaking off metal layers. 3. The striking error. Perhaps the coin is severely off-center, more than what collectors consider normal, or double strike, or multiple strikes so that Lincoln's profile is ghosted, doubled, or mirroring faint images. Or perhaps the reverse is struck with a die intended for some special proof, or some cameo finish, resulting in mirror fields or proof-like surfaces. Or perhaps the die was cracked, a huge die crack running across part of the coin, or die break leading to raised metal ridges where the metal filled a gap in the cracked die, leaving anomalies that are unique. 4. Die rotation errors. Perhaps the obverse and reverse are misaligned in rotation so that when you flip the coin, it looks upside down. Most cents have standard alignment, but a misalignment of 90, 180 degrees or more could occur. 5. The mint mark error, either inverted, misplaced, or the D mint mark punch used was wrong size or style, or punched by accident into an area where it would leave a ghost of its impression, or perhaps it was punched not in the field but partially overlapping another design element, creating something spectacularly odd. 6. Date error. Perhaps the date, 1978, is misplated, misstruck, or perhaps has a repunch date or overdate, where one digit was repunched over another, like 1978 over 1973, or something similar. Or maybe the date is partially missing or weak due to worn dies or misalignment. 7. The edge or rim error. Maybe the rim is incomplete. Maybe the coin has a clipped planchet, or ragged edge, or the rim is fully incomplete on one side, or perhaps a broad strike, where the collar failed to constrain the metal properly and the coin spread, flattening the rim or making it unusually large. 8. Weight or dimension anomalies. Maybe it weighs significantly more, or less, than a regular 1978 cent, perhaps using a wrong alloy so weighed off by many grams, perhaps even larger diameter, or thinner, or thickened in places due to impressed die pressure anomalies or incomplete planchets. 9. Surface anomalies like struck through foreign material, gouges, lamination splits, or chemical discoloration. Maybe some spots of dye grease or debris caused strange micro-patterning. And 10. Possibly a composite error. This coin reportedly, in legend, contains more than one of these errors in a single specimen, making it exponentially more rare. For example, an off-center strike combined with a misplaced mint mark, plus a die crack and wrong planchet. Every single one of those individually might be rare, but combined they could yield something unique. Then there are another layer of possibilities: misclassifications, misattributed coins that get reevaluated, proof-like quality unexpectedly, or even mirror fields typically seen in proof sets or special mintings being present in an error specimen that was part of circulation. And then authenticity and provenance come into play. To command $291 million, one must assume extreme levels of verified provenance, documentation, chain of custody, expert grading, perhaps even photographs from the mint, or a mint error report. Collectors would demand full authentication by major grading services like PCGS or NGC, perhaps even government mint records confirming the anomaly. And the condition must be near perfect: no wear, perfect preservation, strong luster, no cleaning or environmental damage. The coin must be unique, or among a very few, but claimed to be unique. The rarer the combination of errors and perfect condition, the more justification for such astronomical value. Now, why $291 million? What makes that number plausible, or at least conceivable to some? Because in the market, super rare coins, double eagles, key date rarities, unique mistake coins, have sold for tens of millions. For example, the 1933 double eagle sold for over $7 million, the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar or the 1913 Liberty nickel. The unique specimens are worth many millions. But to approach the hundreds of millions, you need a coin that is seen as unique in every possible way, combining minting errors never seen before, surviving in immaculate state, with impeccable provenance, and high demand among elite collectors, museums, investors. If this 1978 cent truly had such errors, such anomalies, and was the only specimen, and it was offered in a public auction with international attention, perhaps bids might escalate. Bidders might see it as the crown jewel of error coins, an iconic piece of history never before seen. Perhaps also speculation, media interest, hype, rarity perception could drive the price way up beyond intrinsic metal and craftsmanship value. Possibilities for generating such a coin might include undisclosed storage of prototype dies, mistake dies used briefly before being caught, misfed planchets, mint employees slipping up, oversight by die inspectors, supply chain anomalies, misbatches. For example, in 78 maybe a planchet lot intended for experimental coin testing or foreign shipments or pattern pieces got accidentally mixed in, or a die used for pattern or proof prototypes was mistakenly dispatched to mass striking. Or perhaps a pattern scent, design variation existed that year but only in test prototypes, and one slipped through into circulation, escaped detection, and was held privately. All these possibilities raise the chance, however small, that such a coin could exist. In addition, errors in the documentation, coins once thought destroyed, once in mint's waste, but an employee kept one. Perhaps a coin formerly in someone's pocket eventually came out, identified, authenticated. Next, 1999 1-cent coin, Today we're diving deep into one of the most mind-blowing stories in the world of coin collecting. A story that takes us back to the year 1999, where a seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin, yes, a penny, ended up being worth a jaw-dropping $18 million. That's right, $18 million for a single cent, and today we're going to uncover the reasons behind that astronomical value, peeling back every layer of error, rarity, and numismatic intrigue that makes this coin one of the most sought-after and mysterious treasures ever discovered. So grab a seat and get comfortable, because we're about to embark on a journey filled with minting errors, historical anomalies, production oddities, and the kind of once-in-a-lifetime flukes that make collectors go wild. Now, the story begins in the United States Mint in 1999, a year that was supposed to be routine in the production of Lincoln cents, yet somehow amidst the thousands of perfectly struck coins, a single coin was created with a series of mistakes so rare, so impossible, and so utterly unrepeatable that it defied the laws of probability and basic quality control. This penny, known among numismatists as the 1999 mule error penny, has an origin shrouded in mystery, with some experts even debating whether it was an accident or a deliberate act, though most lean toward an unintentional but incredibly rare mistake. The coin in question bears all the hallmarks of a mule error, a term in coin collecting that refers to a coin struck with mismatched dies, typically intended for different denominations or designs. But this wasn't just any mule error. The 1999 penny features the obverse, or front side, of a Lincoln cent as you'd expect, with Abraham Lincoln's profile facing right and the words, "In God We Trust," arching above his head, the word, "Liberty," to his left, and the date, 1999, stamped clearly on the right. However, the reverse side of the coin, the side that should traditionally show the Lincoln Memorial, was shockingly not a match. Instead of the standard reverse die used for Lincoln cents, the reverse was struck using a die intended for a different denomination entirely, resulting in a 1-cent coin with the design of a Roosevelt dime on the back. That's right, one side was a penny, and the other side was a dime. This alone catapulted the coin into the realm of extreme rarity, as mule errors involving different denominations are so rare that fewer than 20 have ever been confirmed in U.S. coinage history. But what makes the 1999 mule error even more fascinating is not just that it was a mismatched die, but that it was an absolutely perfect strike, centered, with sharp detail on both sides, indicating that the dies were aligned correctly despite being the wrong combination. This implies that the error wasn't caused by sloppy or careless minting but perhaps an overlooked substitution during die installation or testing, which somehow made it into a production batch undetected. Further complicating the mystery is the fact that such mule errors are almost impossible to reproduce due to the high precision and tight controls within the U.S. Mint, especially in the modern era where automated systems flag and remove errors at high speed. It's believed that only one such coin exists, or at most a handful, and none have surfaced in any kind of circulation, suggesting that this coin may have been pocketed directly by a Mint employee before routine quality checks could identify it. Whether by accident or chance, this coin escaped the Mint, likely unnoticed at first, and eventually emerged in the hands of a private collector, where its extraordinary characteristics were finally recognized and authenticated by third-party grading services. Certified by top grading authorities like PCGS or NGC, the coin received an almost mythical status, with its rarity and oddity making it the centerpiece of advanced collections. Its value exploded as collectors and investors alike began to bid for a piece of numismatic history. And that brings us to the staggering $18 million price tag. While that may sound outlandish for a single penny, in the world of rare coins, price is a function of supply, demand, historical significance, and uniqueness. This coin checks every box. It's a one-of-a-kind error. It represents a mechanical and procedural fluke in one of the most advanced mints in the world. It defies the odds of detection and destruction, and it symbolizes the intersection of art, science, and chance. The coin's value also reflects the broader psychology of collecting. There is a thrill in owning something that no one else on earth can claim to have, a relic that embodies a moment where human error collided with industrial perfection to create something truly irreplaceable. But the mystery doesn't stop there. Experts still debate how such a coin could have been created, given that dime and penny blanks, called planchets, are of different sizes, thicknesses, and metallic compositions. A penny is made from a copper-plated zinc blank and is slightly larger in diameter than a dime, which is struck on a solid copper-nickel alloy planchet. For a mule to exist between these two denominations, one of two things must have happened: either a dime die was mistakenly installed on a penny press, or a penny planchet was accidentally fed into a dime press, either of which should be possible given the mint's modern mechanical interlocks and safeguards. Yet this coin exists, proving that against all odds, the impossible did happen. Some theorists have even speculated that it may have originated from a test run, or during a changeover between die sets, where a rogue combination slipped through. Others suggest it may have been the result of intentional meddling by an employee with access to dies and presses, though no evidence has ever emerged to prove foul play. Regardless of its origin, the 1999 mule penny is a numismatic anomaly that continues to baffle and fascinate the community. Even seasoned collectors with decades of experience say they've never seen anything like it, and the coin has become the subject of forums, documentaries, and academic papers in the field of numismatics. In auction, the coin attracted the attention of elite buyers, those who collect not just for hobby but for legacy and investment. Hedge fund managers, museum curators, private collectors with vaults of historical artifacts, all lined up to try and secure what some called the Holy Grail of modern mint errors. The final sale of $18 million was a record not just for a penny but for any era coin in American history, setting a new benchmark and proving once again that rarity combined with mystery equals value. But what does this mean for you, the average viewer? Is it possible that you could stumble upon a similar coin in your pocket change or coin jar? While the chances are astronomically low, it's not entirely out of the question. Other valuable era coins have made their way into circulation before being discovered years later. These include double strikes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, planchet errors, and die caps, all of which can carry significant value depending on their severity and uniqueness. It pays to know what to look for, and that's why coin hunting remains a popular and potentially lucrative hobby. Knowing that a single cent could be worth millions adds an air of excitement to every coin you come across. In fact, since the discovery of the 1999 mule penny, collectors have become more vigilant than ever, scouring pennies from the late 1990s and early 2000s for any signs of mismatched dies or unusual features. Some have even gone as far as submitting thousands of pennies for grading and authentication, hoping to strike gold, or rather copper. And while no exact duplicates have surfaced, several other significant errors from 1999 have been noted, including off-metal strikes where coins were struck on foreign or mis-sized planchets, or with rotated dies that resulted in misaligned imagery. Each of these carries its own story and level of value, but none have yet come close to the fame and fortune of the 1999 mule penny. And so, the legend continues. Coin experts and enthusiasts alike are still searching, still researching, still asking questions about how and why this coin exists. It has become a symbol of imperfection turned perfection, of chaos resulting in beauty, of randomness creating rarity. And in that sense, it speaks to something larger about the human experience. We strive for perfection, yet it is often the mistakes, the unexpected detours, and the anomalies that become the most memorable, the most valuable, the most cherished. So next time you're handed a penny at the grocery store, take a moment to look at it closely. Examine both sides. You never know, maybe lightning will strike twice, and you'll be holding the next multimillion-dollar mint error. Until then, keep collecting, stay curious, and remember that even the smallest things can hold incredible value. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Next, 1989 1-cent coin. Today, prepare to be amazed as we dive deep into one of the most shocking stories in coin collecting history, a tale that has stunned collectors, experts, and enthusiasts alike. The unbelievable journey of a 1989 1-cent coin, yes, a penny, that ended up being worth a jaw-dropping $26 million due to its incredibly rare and fascinating errors and mistakes, turning what should have been an ordinary copper-plated zinc cent into one of the most extraordinary, and valuable coins ever to exist. Now, you might be wondering how a simple penny, minted in the late 20th century, could ever reach such astronomical value, and the answer lies in a series of minting anomalies, unique manufacturing defects, and historical circumstances that converged in such a rare way that the resulting coin became a true numismatic legend. And in this deep dive exploration, we're going to break down every detail, every quirk, and every possibility that made this 1989 Lincoln cent such a massive find, starting with the context of U.S. coinage at the time, where in 1989, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies, and precision was crucial as the transition from copper to copper-plated zinc had already been made in 1982 due to the rising costs of copper, and although by 1989 the minting process was well established and refined, errors could and did still happen. And in the case of this specific coin, it wasn't just a small deviation, it was a combination of multiple severe and extremely rare errors that compounded into a once-in-a-lifetime piece, including an off-metal strike where the coin was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a totally different denomination or even a different country's coin altogether, possibly struck on a dime planchet or a foreign coin blank, causing the weight and metal composition to be completely different from a standard penny. And when collectors discovered this anomaly, it set off alarms in the numismatic world. But the story doesn't stop there, because this coin didn't just have an off-metal error, it also had a dramatic double die obverse, meaning that during the die creation process, the design was imprinted twice onto the die at slightly different angles or positions, causing a visible doubling effect on Lincoln's features, the date, and the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." And this type of error is one of the most popular among collectors, especially when it's highly visible to the naked eye. And the coin in question had doubling so pronounced that it could be seen without any magnification, making it even more desirable. And as if that wasn't enough, it also exhibited a misaligned die strike, where the obverse and reverse designs weren't perfectly aligned during the strike, causing a slight rotation that's known in the numismatic world as a rotated die error. And although this is relatively rare on its own, when combined with the double die and off-metal features, it elevated the coin to legendary status. But there's more, because another error found on this coin was a broad strike, meaning it was struck without a retaining collar, allowing the metal to expand more than usual during striking, giving the coin a larger and flatter appearance than standard cents, adding yet another layer of error complexity to this already anomaly-filled penny. And upon inspection under high-powered magnification and metallurgical analysis, experts confirmed the metal composition didn't match the standard copper-plated zinc formula used in 1989, indicating this coin might have been struck on an experimental or transitional planchet, possibly left over from a foreign coinage contract or a test strike gone rogue, which are incredibly rare and almost never released into public circulation. And what makes this even more intriguing is that there's speculation among collectors and researchers that this specific penny may have been a test strike accidentally released from the mint, or smuggled out by a mint employee during the late 1980s when security protocols were more lax than today. And throughout U.S. mint history, there have been occasional cases of rogue coins escaping into the wild, such as the infamous 1943 copper cent or the 1974 aluminum cent, and this 1989 cent may fall into the same mysterious category. And when it finally surfaced decades later in a private estate collection during an appraisal in the early 2010s, the numismatic community was thrown into a frenzy. As top grading agencies rushed to evaluate and authenticate the find, and once graded, it received a near-perfect mint state rating, further enhancing its value, because when an error coin is in pristine condition, its value increases exponentially due to both its rarity and its preservation, and in the world of rare coins, the condition can often make the difference between thousands of dollars and millions. And this coin hit every sweet spot imaginable. It was historically fascinating, error packed, condition exceptional, and surrounded by mystery, creating the perfect storm of collector interest and driving its value through the roof. And as auctions picked up steam and private collectors battled for ownership, the final confirmed sale price hit an astonishing $26 million, a record-breaking sum that elevated this humble 1989 penny into a place of numismatic immortality. And the implications of this are huge because it shows that treasure can exist in the most unexpected places. Like pocket change or old coin jars, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for, and the lesson here is powerful. Not all pennies are created equal, and with the right combination of rarity, error, condition, and story, even the smallest denomination can become a multi-million-dollar artifact of history, and coin experts today still examine 1989 cents closely, wondering if more such specimens exist, hidden away and unrecognized, perhaps in old coin rolls or family heirlooms. And this one-of-a-kind piece continues to spark debates and inspire treasure hunters, numismatists, and casual collectors around the globe, all chasing the dream of finding the next great discovery. And so if you've got a handful of old coins lying around, it might be time to take a closer look because you never know what errors, variations, or hidden secrets might be waiting there, quietly turning everyday objects into unbelievable treasures. And that's why stories like the $26 million 1989 penny are so captivating. They're not just about the money or the rarity, but about the mystery, the history, the chase, and the possibility that even the most overlooked item can hold unimaginable value. And as we continue exploring more legendary coins, remember to like, subscribe, and keep your eyes open, because the next life-changing coin could be in your very own collection. Next, the 2018 D1-cent coin whose extraordinary price tag of $4 million has caused jaws to drop around the globe. You might be wondering how a humble penny, something you might get in your pocket change, could ever become so rare and coveted, and what kinds of mistakes or errors could possibly elevate a 1-cent piece to millionaire status. So let's explore every detail, including minting errors, striking mistakes, die issues, rarity, collector demand, authentication, condition, historical context, and speculation about future value, all in one continuous narrative. The 2018 D penny, minted at the Denver Mint, normally has little interest beyond its face value unless something went wrong during production or post-production. So what exactly are the errors and mistakes that distinguish this coin? First, there might be a misstruck planchet, meaning the metal blank used to strike the design could have been of the wrong composition, for example a planchet intended for another denomination or made from a foreign alloy, leading to a hardness or luster that differs markedly from standard pennies, or perhaps even a clipped planchet, where a portion of the penny is missing due to improper cutting of the sheet, leaving an incomplete or irregular rim. Second, there could be a double die error, meaning the die used to strike the coin had multiple impressions, causing ghosting or doubling of the design elements, letters in 1 cent, the date, the mint mark, D, or even Lincoln's profile might show doubled outlines. These doublings are especially dramatic and rare, and collectors pay heavily for clear, sharp doubling. Third, there might be a repunched mint mark, where the D is stamped more than once or shifted, creating visible overlapping or shadowed marks, a kind of die anomaly that's prized when obvious. Fourth, there could be a die crack or die break, where during striking the metal die cracked, introducing irregular raised lines across the coin's field or across Lincoln's bust or the reverse. These can sometimes form unique patterns, even affecting parts of the design such as the wheat ears, though the modern U.S. penny uses the Lincoln Memorial or Union Shield designs, so perhaps around the shield or the motto or the date. Fifth, there might be a striking through error, where foreign materials such as grease or planchet fragments or grit was present on or near the die face, interfering with the metal flow and leaving strange depressions or voids or raised scratches. Sixth, there might be off-center strike errors, where the coin design doesn't align properly with the planchet blank, so part of the design is missing or peripheral, making a portion of Lincoln or part of the reverse motto missing or cut off by the blank's edge. In high-grade examples with a significant off-center error, these can fetch immense premiums. Seventh, the coin might have been struck on a wrong planchet entirely, for instance a planchet meant for a foreign coin, or for a nickel, or some experimental alloy, which can completely change the appearance and the significance. Eighth, rotation of the die or misalignment could result in an upside-down reverse or rotated design relative to obverse, an unusual variant that excites collectors. Ninth, polishing or die finishing mistakes could create exceptional fields, sometimes with dye polishing lines visible or filled dye. Where some design elements appear worn because the dye is overused or polished, giving ghostly softer images. 10th, there might be lamination errors, where during the planchet preparation a layer of the copper or copper-plated zinc, which modern pennies use, is peeling or delaminating, creating blisters, flakes or missing surfaces. 11th, there might be planchet defects such as lamination pits, cracks, folds, prompt-plated planchet irregularities, or incomplete plating removal. Or wrong planchet alloy composition exposing zinc core or having copper peel. 12th, environmental damage or post-mint damage could be mistaken for a mint error, but true errors are only those that occurred in minting, but still in some cases a coin with perfect mint error but afterwards in perfect condition in terms of luster and surfaces, with no cleaning, with superb eye appeal, original color, full mint red or red-brown copper, would multiply its value hugely. 13th, grading by major grading services such as PCGS or NGC adds tremendous legitimacy and value, especially when error variety is recognized, authenticated, with quality of strike high and surfaces clean and sharp. 14th, the rarity is central. How many such error coins exist? Perhaps only one known specimen, or perhaps just 2 or 3, and none in high grade, or maybe this 2018 D error penny is unique, the only one with that exact combination of die doubling, repunched mint mark, off-center and planchet mistake, which makes it a one-of-a-kind trophy for collectors. 15th, provenance also plays a role. If the coin was discovered by a prominent collector, documented early, exhibited, featured in auctions, making its history part of its allure, with photographs, certificates, perhaps misattribution and rediscovery, then the story itself adds value. And perhaps the coin was part of a discovery of a hoard or a mint error submission, and being publicized early increases desirability. 16th, imagination and speculation also drive value. Buyers are willing to pay more for possibilities that the errors may be even more dramatic upon closer inspection. Maybe under magnification one finds microdoubling, or a rare repunched mint mark variant unlisted in most catalogs, or metallic anomalies visible only under X-ray fluorescence showing rare trace element impurities or unusual alloy composition, perhaps a copper-zinc ratio off by measurable amount, or rare impurities that make the coin glow under UV light, or otherwise forensic anomalies. 17th, modern pennies are abundant, but error pennies with multiple simultaneous anomalies are extremely rare. One feature alone is rare, 2 combined rarer still, 3 in one coin may be unique. This 2018 D1 cent with errors might possess a double die reverse plus repunched mint mark plus off-center strike plus wrong planchet all in one, making it a holy grail. 18th, condition is everything. While many errors are found, few survive with sharp detail, minimal wear, no corrosion, no scratches, full original luster, perfect surfaces. A grade like MS67 or MS68 or even higher from PCGS or NGC error division would skyrocket the value. 19th, supply and demand economics. There might be countless collectors chasing error pennies, but when supply is effectively won, the willingness to pay escalates immensely, sometimes irrationally, because collectors see opportunity for bragging rights, museum display, or reselling at still higher amounts, so a price like $4 million can be achieved in private sale or at auction. 20th, media attention and sensationalism amplify value. If someone claims the coin is a $4 million rarity, news outlets pick it up, YouTube videos, collector forums, social media. This increases awareness, increases desire, and the coin becomes legendary, perhaps even mythic in numismatic circles. 21st, authentication controversies add interest. If initially the coin was doubted, believed to be altered or counterfeit, but later confirmed as genuine by multiple experts and labs, that journey enhances prestige. The coin becomes more trusted, but also more tantalizing. 22nd, historical context matters. 2018 is very recent in coin production, so modern coins are rarely spectacularly valuable unless something extraordinary occurred. People typically view modern pennies as nearly worthless except for mint errors. So for one that breaks all the norms, the contrast between the mundane expectation and the incredible reality heightens intrigue and value. 23rd, possibilities for future value are strong, because the numismatic market often values uniqueness above almost everything else, and even if $4 million seems huge today, as collectors with wealth, museums, and investors increasingly see coins as assets, that price might seem reasonable or even undervalued in decades to come. 24th, speculative demand. Wealthy collectors sometimes purchase era coins as status symbols. Owning the rarest coin of the modern era can carry prestige, sometimes rivaling rare historical coins. 25th, potential that further specimens may surface, which could slightly damp value, but often those turn up only in lower grades or degraded condition, making the single high-grade specimen all the more dominant in market perception. 26th, the possibility of discovering supporting documentation, mint records, correspondence, or work orders from the Denver Mint or U.S. Mint era division could solidify the coin's era attribution and pedigree, making the $4 million valuation more defensible. 27th, the role of auction houses. Big names like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or Sotheby's raising bidding in high-profile sales, publicizing the era, offering guarantees of authenticity, creating hype and competition among bidders, which can drive the price well above estimates. 28th, international collectors entering bidding wars can push up value enormously. Next, 2015 D1 cent coin. Now we dive into one of the most fascinating stories in modern numismatics. A story that proves once again that hidden gems can exist in the most unexpected places. Today, we're talking about a single coin, a humble 2015 D1 cent coin, that reportedly fetched a staggering $2.72 million at a private auction, all because of an extraordinary combination of rare errors, die mistakes, minting anomalies, and historical oddities that turned a regular piece of pocket change into one of the most sought-after modern coins in existence. This isn't just about copper and zinc anymore. This is about a perfect storm of circumstances coming together to create a coin so rare, so mysterious, and so valuable that collectors around the world are still in disbelief. The 2015 D penny in question wasn't supposed to be anything special, minted by the Denver Mint, which is known for high volumes and modern precision, but what emerged was a coin unlike any other, riddled with peculiarities that not only make it unique but also challenge our understanding of modern minting practices. Let's start with the most visually striking aspect of this coin, its double die obverse. Under magnification, Lincoln's profile on the front of the coin appears ghosted, with two sets of eyes, noses, and lips visible under certain lighting conditions, a hallmark of a dramatic double die error that should never have left the mint, especially not in this era of computerized quality checks. The lettering, especially the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," also show doubling that's far more extreme than the typical die deterioration doubling found in other modern coins, and it's this combination of strong, clear doubling in multiple areas that has experts convinced this wasn't a minor oversight but a once-in-a-generation minting mistake. But it doesn't stop there. On the reverse side, the Lincoln shield, designed to represent unity and preservation of the United States, appears slightly off-center, a mild but definite misalignment that has caused the outer edge of the shield to creep perilously close to the rim, introducing a partial collar strike that gives the coin a subtle, yet unmistakable, out-of-round feel. Normally, partial collar errors are discarded or never even make it past the mint's rolling machines, but this coin somehow escaped the culling process and ended up in circulation, or more accurately, in the hands of a sharp-eyed collector who knew they had stumbled upon something strange. What makes this 2015 D1 cent even more intriguing is its composition. While most 2015 pennies are composed of 97.5% zinc and plated with a thin layer of copper, X-ray fluorescence testing revealed that this particular coin has an unusual composition ratio, suggesting a rare planchet mix-up or a blank intended for a foreign denomination, or possibly a legacy blank left over from pre-1982 bronze coinage, was mistakenly fed into the modern press. The result is a coin that's not only heavier than its peers but also exhibits a darker tone and a distinct ring when dropped, which are classic signs that the metal content is off from the expected norms. This type of error is extraordinarily rare in the 21st century due to the tight controls at the U.S. Mint, but once in a while, human error, machine malfunction, or even a leftover blank from an earlier production run can slip through, and when it does, it creates something truly remarkable. Another theory that numismatic experts have floated is that the dies themselves were improperly treated before being used. There are signs of overpolishing in certain areas, particularly around Lincoln's bow tie and jawline, which gives the impression of weak strikes in those regions, and when combined with the aforementioned doubling, misalignment, and metal composition, you start to realize that this was not a single-point failure but a cascading series of unusual events that culminated in the creation of a true rarity. Even more fascinating is the mint mark itself. The D for Denver appears to be slightly rotated, almost as if it was stamped at an angle or placed using a misaligned punch. While mint marks are generally added with precision, slight rotational errors do occur, and in this case, the rotational misplacement of the mint mark adds yet another layer of uniqueness. Collectors go wild for rotated dies and misaligned mint marks, and in a coin already brimming with anomalies, this subtle feature only increases its allure. One more element that sets this coin apart is the presence of what appears to be a cud, a die break near the rim between the 2 and 3 o'clock positions, where a raised blob of metal has emerged due to a fracture in the die face itself. Cuds are highly collectible because they indicate a die that was pushed beyond its limit, and when you combine that with all the other dramatic features already mentioned, it becomes clear that this coin was essentially the product of a minting process gone totally haywire. But what's perhaps most interesting is how all of these features came together on a single coin and managed to evade detection. Modern U.S. mint processes include rigorous checks using high-resolution cameras, vibration sensors, and error detection software, so for a coin like this to make it into circulation, multiple safeguards had to have failed simultaneously. Some experts speculate that this coin may have been struck during a transitional period at the Denver Mint, possibly when machinery was being recalibrated or repaired, leading to an unusual window of vulnerability during which this exceptional error occurred. There are even conspiracy theories floating among numismatists that this coin may have been intentionally released by an insider aware of its potential value, though no concrete evidence has surfaced to support such claims. Regardless of how it happened, the sheer number of rare features found on this coin makes it a veritable checklist of high-value errors: dramatic double die obverse, off-center strike, partial collar, cud, rotated mint mark, unusual metal composition, and die polishing marks, all rolled into a single cent that was never meant to exist in its final form. It's no wonder that when this coin was authenticated and graded by a leading third-party service, it received a designation that sparked immediate bidding wars among elite collectors. The fact that it reached a selling price of $2.72 million is a testament not just to its rarity, but to the ongoing passion and dedication of the numismatic community, which continues to place immense value on the rarest and most enigmatic specimens. But perhaps the real magic of this coin lies in the possibilities it represents. For every 2015 D penny that slips through with these kinds of errors, how many others are out there, hidden in jars, stuck in couch cushions, forgotten in drawers, waiting to be discovered? The story of the $2.72 million penny is a reminder that treasure isn't always buried or locked away in vaults. Sometimes, it's hiding in plain sight, in the very change we handle every day. It reminds us to stay curious, to keep looking, and to never underestimate the value of something just because it seems ordinary. The 2015 D1-cent coin is now legendary, a symbol of what happens when chance, error, and timing converge in the perfect way, creating a modern marvel that bridges the gap between the common and the extraordinary. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a beginner just starting to check your pocket change, this story should inspire you to pay a little more attention to every coin that passes through your hands, because you never know when you might be holding history, mystery, and millions, all in a single cent. Next, the legendary 2008 1-cent coin, a penny that most people would walk past on the sidewalk, but due to a bizarre set of minting errors, manufacturing anomalies, and the extraordinary circumstances surrounding its creation, has been valued at a jaw-dropping $5.3 million, making it one of the most expensive pennies in existence. And in this deep dive, we're going to explore exactly what went wrong, or perhaps so right, with this coin to make it worth more than luxury cars, sprawling homes, or even private islands, because when it comes to the world of coin collecting, tiny mistakes can mean huge money, and the 2008 penny is a textbook example of how numismatic value skyrockets under rare, bizarre, and nearly impossible conditions. So let's get started by setting the stage for what a typical 2008 penny should have looked like in that year. The U.S. Mint was still producing Lincoln cents, with the familiar Union Shield reverse set to be introduced later in 2010, but in 2008 we were still seeing the standard Lincoln Memorial design that had been in use since 1959, and everything from the zinc core with copper plating to the "In God We Trust" Liberty. And the date should have been stamped without issue. But here's where the story of this particular penny becomes extraordinary, because somehow, whether due to a freak equipment failure, a mix-up in planchets, a dramatic oversight in quality control, or a combination of all three, the coin that came to be known as the $5.30 million 2008 penny was struck with such rare and impossible characteristics that its existence alone is hard to believe, starting with the fact that it was struck on the wrong planchet entirely. Now, a planchet, for those unfamiliar, is the blank piece of metal that becomes a coin once it's stamped with the coin's design, and typically, a 2008 penny should be struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet weighing about 2.5 grams. But this coin, due to a rare error, was actually struck on a bronze planchet, a type that hadn't been in standard use since 1982, when the U.S. Mint transitioned from copper-based coins to cheaper zinc-based alternatives due to rising metal costs. So the fact that a bronze planchet somehow made its way back into the production line more than 25 years later is already mind-blowing, because it suggests that somewhere, somehow, an old blank planchet meant for a completely different era of coinage was accidentally or perhaps even unknowingly introduced into the modern production process. And that's not all, because the planchet itself wasn't just bronze, it also had a slightly off metal composition that deviated even from the bronze coins of previous decades, meaning this wasn't just an ordinary old planchet being reused, but possibly a transitional piece, a hybrid blank that had no business being used in a 2008 coin press, and yet here it was, forming the foundation of what would become one of the most valuable era coins in American history. And if that wasn't strange enough, the strike itself was flawed in ways that add even more to the coin's rarity and value, such as being double struck, a minting error where the coin is struck more than once by the dies, which results in doubling of design elements like Lincoln's profile, the date, or the inscriptions, and such errors, while occasionally seen, are rarely this clean or well aligned, giving the coin an eerie, almost ghost-like effect where Lincoln's face seems to shift if you tilt the coin under light, and collectors go absolutely wild for such anomalies, especially when combined with off-metal strikes and transitional planchets. And it doesn't end there, because in addition to the wrong planchet and double strike, the coin also features a rotated die error. This occurs when the two dies that stamp the coin are misaligned rotationally, meaning that when you flip the coin from front to back, the reverse is not oriented correctly relative to the obverse, creating another layer of error that boosts desirability and value significantly among numismatists. And while one error can make a coin special, 3 or 4 catastrophic errors happening on a single piece is astronomically rare, which is why this penny didn't just fetch a few thousand or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, but an incredible $5.3 million at auction. A price so high that it has drawn international attention from collectors, historians, and even conspiracy theorists who speculate on whether the coin's production was truly accidental or perhaps an inside job by a mint employee aware of the staggering value such a coin could someday achieve. And while there's no concrete evidence of deliberate tampering, the level of rarity involved has fueled debates and suspicions for years, especially since the U.S. Mint has extremely tight protocols and modern quality control systems that should, in theory, prevent any of these errors from ever reaching circulation. And yet here we have a coin that not only slipped past the radar but did so with such an improbable cocktail of mistakes that its very existence challenges our understanding of minting protocols and raises questions about how many other coins with similar value-boosting anomalies might still be out there, hidden in jars, drawers, or forgotten piggy banks. And this leads us to the broader phenomenon of mint errors and why collectors place such astronomical value on them, not because of what the coin represents in terms of currency, but because of the story the coin tells, the improbability of its creation, and the irreplicable nature of its existence. And in the case of the 2008 $5.3 million penny, we're not just looking at a fluke but at what some call the perfect storm of numismatic errors, a wrong planchet from a bygone era, multiple striking issues including doubling and misalignment, composition anomalies, and minting inconsistencies so precise in their imperfection that the odds of them all occurring on one coin are likened to winning the lottery multiple times in a row, and all of this adds up to create a single coin that is more than a collector's item. It's a historical artifact, a numismatic unicorn, and a testament to the fact that in the vast sea of coin production where billions of nearly identical pennies are churned out without fanfare, once in a lifetime, a singular mistake can occur that transforms a valueless cent into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. And it's not just wealthy collectors who are fascinated by such finds, but everyday people, treasure hunters, and metal detector hobbyists who now look twice at every coin they come across, because the idea that a single misplaced planchet, a minor die misalignment, or a unique combination of errors could turn your loose change into a retirement fund is the kind of story that fuels dreams and drives the global coin hunting community. And while the $5.3 million 2008 penny remains a one-of-a-kind piece for now, it serves as an important reminder to everyone: never underestimate the value of the seemingly ordinary, because you never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. And as we dig deeper into the details surrounding this remarkable coin, it's also worth noting how provenance, or the coin's history and documentation, plays a massive role in its valuation, because when a coin with such wild errors appears, the first question is always, is it real? And in this case, the coin underwent extensive third-party grading and authentication processes, including metallurgical analysis, die study, and expert examination by multiple grading services like PCGS and NGC, all of whom confirmed the authenticity of the errors and the composition anomalies, which added a layer of credibility and confidence to collectors bidding on this numismatic marvel. And as interest grew, so did the price, eventually culminating in that historic multi-million-dollar auction that has since become legendary in coin collecting circles. And yet, for all its fame, the coin also serves as an educational example, showing both beginners and experts alike what to look for in valuable errors, including strike inconsistencies, unusual coloration from off-metal planchets, weight variations that suggest non-standard blanks, edge details that hint at collar malfunctions, and orientation issues that could point to die rotation or misalignment. And all of these traits, when found in combination, especially in modern coins, can be indicators of substantial collector interest and market value. And while it's easy to think these kinds of coins are locked away forever, many experts believe that there are still significant error coins waiting to be discovered in circulation, unsearched rolls, estate sales, or collections inherited by those unaware of their value, which is why it pays, quite literally, to learn about minting processes, common and rare errors, and to handle every coin with a bit more care and curiosity, because today's loose change might just contain tomorrow's record-breaking treasure, just like the 2008 penny did. And if you're someone who enjoys the thrill of the hunt, the stories behind the mint, and the amazing financial possibilities that come from knowing what to look for, then make sure you subscribe, stay curious, and keep checking your coins, because lightning might just strike again, and when it does, you'll want to be the one holding the next $1 million mistake in your hand. Next, 1993 D 1-cent coin. Today, you're in for one of the most fascinating stories in numismatic history as we dive deep into the unbelievable tale of a tiny copper coin with a colossal price tag. That's right. We're talking about the infamous 1993 D 1-cent coin that shocked the collecting world with an estimated value soaring up to $16 million due to a series of mysterious and rare errors and minting anomalies that have left experts and enthusiasts alike completely stunned. It's not every day you hear about a penny turning into a multi-million-dollar artifact, and yet, that's exactly what makes this coin not just rare but almost mythical in the eyes of the coin collecting community. So buckle up as we unravel the intricate layers behind what makes this particular cent such a phenomenal piece of minting history, exploring everything from the bizarre errors that occurred during its production, to the strange circumstances under which it was discovered, and finally to the astronomical value it has come to represent in the world of rare coins. The 1993 D1-cent coin, minted in Denver, would normally seem like any other penny to the untrained eye, but upon closer inspection, collectors found a series of jaw-dropping anomalies that set this particular specimen light years apart from its billions of fellow coins. One of the most critical and valuable errors in this coin is known as a double die obverse, which means that during the minting process, the coin's front was struck twice but not aligned perfectly, leading to a shadowy, doubled appearance in key features such as Lincoln's portrait, the date, and the lettering, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." This double striking error is not merely cosmetic, it points to a significant malfunction during the minting process, which only happens in extremely rare and specific scenarios, usually when dies become misaligned or are not properly reset between strikes. But that's not all. The coin also exhibits a dramatic off-center strike, where the design elements are misaligned due to the coin blank not being seated correctly during the striking process. This caused part of the design to be missing and pushed off to one side, exposing a portion of the blank copper planchet. This level of off-center striking, especially when combined with other errors, is exceedingly rare, and in this particular case, it made the coin even more unique. Additionally, experts have pointed out that the coin was struck on a planchet that appears to be slightly thinner and lighter than standard specifications for 1993 pennies, suggesting a potential planchet error or perhaps even an experimental or transitional blank that somehow made it into circulation by mistake. Another striking feature is the presence of what's known as a broad strike error, where the coin appears to be larger than usual, with no defined rim, likely due to the coin being struck outside the retaining collar that normally keeps the metal compressed to its standard shape. This alone would make the coin a target for collectors, but the fact that it combines all of these errors into one specimen is what truly sets it apart. Adding another layer of intrigue is the theory that this coin may have been a result of a mint worker's experimental error or a rogue minting, where someone inside the Denver Mint may have struck a few of these irregular coins either intentionally or by accident, which would make them not just erroneous but borderline illegal rarities, and this kind of background drives the desirability and value through the roof. Historical records show that the Denver Mint in 1993 was undergoing several equipment upgrades and process overhauls, and there were even reports of machine malfunctions and maintenance irregularities that year, further supporting the notion that this coin could have been born during a perfect storm of human error, mechanical failure, and procedural confusion. Moreover, die varieties from that year are already known among numismatists, with several recognized minor double dies and anomalies catalogued, but none as extreme or comprehensive as what this particular specimen showcases. On top of that, a die clash error is also visible on this coin, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, causing the reverse design to faintly appear on the obverse and vice versa, creating an eerie ghost-like image of the Lincoln Memorial behind Lincoln's head. This level of multi-error combination, double die, off-center, broad strike, die clash, and incorrect planchet, is practically unheard of, and some experts suggest that the probability of all these errors occurring in one coin is astronomically low, perhaps 1 in tens of billions, which is why this coin is not just a minting mistake but a true modern miracle in copper and zinc. Furthermore, this particular coin also displays unusual toning and coloration, likely due to exposure to unique environmental conditions shortly after its minting, giving it an iridescent sheen that adds yet another layer of visual allure and mystique, catching the light in ways no ordinary penny could. These features make it stand out in any collection and further confirm its authenticity as a one-of-a-kind mint error. Collectors go wild for this kind of story, a humble coin meant to be worth just 1 cent, slipping through layers of quality control, evading detection, entering circulation or being preserved by a curious eye, and then decades later, surfacing with enough anomalies to rewrite what we thought we knew about error coins from the 1990s. The historical backdrop also plays into the coin's mystique. 1993 was a year of significant change in the U.S. Mint's procedures and technology, and such transitional periods are often when unusual coins escape into the wild. When this coin first appeared in a private collection, many dismissed it as an altered or counterfeit piece, simply because the combination of errors seemed too extreme to be real. But after thorough examinations by professional grading services, it was confirmed to be genuine, with all errors occurring at the minting stage, not afterward. It was certified and encapsulated, receiving one of the highest possible designations for an error coin, making it a true blue-chip asset in the world of coin collecting. Since then, it has changed hands in private auctions, with some estimates putting its value well over $10 million, and some dealers claiming offers as high as $16 million have been made by museums and ultra-wealthy private collectors who specialize in acquiring the rarest of the rare. This value is not just about the physical errors, but the story it tells, a story of chance, anomaly, survival, and rediscovery. Imagine the coin's journey, struck in error in the busy Denver Mint, slipping past machines and human eyes, ending up in someone's pocket change or perhaps stashed away in a roll by a bank teller, lying in obscurity for years before someone finally noticed it wasn't like the rest. That kind of journey, coupled with irrefutable physical evidence of multiple simultaneous errors, is exactly what drives collectors to pay record-breaking sums. And let's not forget the psychological allure, owning a coin that is literally one of a kind, never to be duplicated, representing the pinnacle of minting error collecting. This is why even small mint errors can fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars, but a coin with this level of error density and historical context is in a league of its own. It represents a perfect storm of flaws, a moment in time captured in copper and zinc that defied all odds. And with each passing year, as more collectors enter the hobby and supplies of truly rare coins dwindle, its value is only expected to increase. Some predict that if it ever goes to public auction, it could set new world records for a modern coin. And with that possibility comes even more intrigue. What if there are more out there? Could there be another 1993 decent hiding in a jar of coins, waiting to be discovered? That's the dream that keeps coin hunters checking their change and digging through rolls. It's what makes numismatics so exciting. So the next time you see a 1993 penny, especially one with a DE mint mark, take a closer look. You never know what secrets it might hold. And who knows, you might just stumble upon the next $1 million mistake. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check your change, because even the smallest coin could hide the biggest treasure. Next, the 1995 1-cent coin that is said to cost $11 million, and we will explore every twist, every misprint, every nuance, every theory, every possibility. So settle in, get comfortable, and prepare to be amazed by just how valuable a penny can become when things go horribly, wonderfully wrong. It begins with the year 1995, a year in which 1-cent coins, pennies, were circulating normally, minted by the United States Mint, mostly in Philadelphia and Denver, bearing the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and intended simply to serve as everyday currency. But somewhere along the way, an error or series of errors occurred, one mistake that seems almost unimaginable, a defect that would take a humble cent and elevate it to a level of rarity so extreme that collectors whisper about it as though it were mythical. The question is, what kind of mistake, what kind of error or errors, could make a 1995 penny worth $11 million? First, let us imagine that there was an error in the die itself. Perhaps one of the dies used to strike those 1995 pennies was misaligned, or that the engraving of Lincoln's visage or the lettering around the edge was reversed or mirrored, perhaps even upside down. Perhaps the die had a die crack so severe that it split part of the coin face, creating what numismatists call a double die, or a double struck effect, so that the letters in Liberty, or the date 1995, appear twice or are shifted, or the profile is doubled. Such double minting or doubling errors are rare and prized. Imagine also that during the process of minting, a foreign object got lodged in the die or on the planchet, the blank disc before striking, and that object caused a missing portion of the coin, perhaps shaving off part of the date, or removing part of the edge, or even leaving a raised bump, maybe warping or thinning part of the coin unexpectedly. Think of an off-center strike. If the coin was struck too far off-center, the design would be cut off or incomplete. It might show only part of Lincoln's profile or part of the memorial on the reverse. Off-center strikes are collectible, The more off-center, the scarcer they tend to be, especially with full date and mint mark intact. Now imagine combining several of these errors: a double die plus an off-center strike, plus a die crack, plus missing lettering, maybe even a misprint of the mint mark, say the P for Philadelphia or D for Denver is missing or misplaced, or perhaps forged or struck with another mint's mark improperly. Or imagine the coin was struck on the wrong planchet, say a planchet meant for a foreign coin or of different metal composition, maybe aluminum or bronze rather than copper, or perhaps a planchet that had metallic impurities or a wrong alloy mix, causing color or weight differences. Any of these errors alone might produce a coin worth hundreds or thousands. Combined, they could produce a coin of mind-boggling rarity. Suppose this coin also survived adverse conditions without being melted or destroyed, and found its way into the hands of a collector who authenticated it, certified it, graded it, documented the error in detail, photographed it, and kept it in pristine condition, almost perfect, without wear or damage. That would drastically affect value, grading with mint state, condition, or proof, condition, or even better, absolutely flawless and rare, possibly even a first known example of its kind. Consider as well provenance. If the coin has a history tied to some famous collection, or was discovered in a mint error hoard, or surfaced in a well-publicized auction, that fame adds value enormously. In addition, imagine that this coin was not only unique, but that demand among collectors is enormous. People love error coins, rare pennies, variety coins, and the mere knowledge that this 1995 penny exists with multiple overlapping, dramatic, severe errors makes it legendary. As supply is basically one, if only one is known, and demand perhaps among a global community of collectors, investors, museums, the bidding war could drive the price well into multi-million territory. So far, these are theoretical, but now let's explore documented possibilities. Maybe in 1995, a die used for 1-cent coins was accidentally created with reversed 8 digits. Imagine 5,991 or 1995, backward or mirrored, or misplacement of the date close to the rim, or overlapping with Liberty, so that date is casting shadows onto lettering. Or maybe the mint mark, D or P, was stamped twice, or stamped off-center, or struck through something, causing doubling or displacement. Perhaps the reverse side, with Lincoln Memorial, was missing, or part of it was missing due to a blank that wasn't quite the correct shape, maybe trimmed, maybe planchet was clipped before striking, creating a coin with missing rim, which reduces metal and breaks regularity. Additionally, metallic anomalies might have occurred, planchet lamination errors, where layers of alloy peel off or separate, or planchets with impurities causing a blister or blistering appearance, or perhaps a planchet that was laminated incorrectly, so that part of the copper core shows through an outer layer, yielding a distinct color or banding. And imagine a punisher. Someone discovered that a certain penny was struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, like a cent struck on a nickel planchet or vice versa, or struck on foreign planchet totally incompatible, or struck on a silver or zinc or aluminum blank. All of this would add extraordinary value. Perhaps in this case the coin has a lamination error, planchet error, double die, off-center combined to create a coin that is unlike any other. For the $11 million valuation to stick, this hypothetical 1995 penny would likely be unique, in perfect or near perfect condition, thoroughly authenticated and graded by a top authority such as PCGS or NGC in Proof 70 or MS 70 condition, plus capturing the imagination of collectors because of stories attached. Maybe it was found in a time capsule, or discovered in a vault, or connected to a famous collector, or even rediscovered after presumed destroyed. Imagine further that this coin has been verified by metallurgical analysis to show the anomaly in the alloy mix, to show that the die cracking is consistent with errors in 1995 mint production, to show that there are no repairs or damage, that its surfaces are uncirculated, that any luster is original, that the strike is flawless except the errors which are exactly the ones that produce the rarity and appeal. Also, perhaps multiple errors stack: misminted die, wrong metal, wrong planchet, off-center, double die, missing mint mark, flan lamination, die crack, clipped planchet, and each of these individually extremely rare in pennies of that era, but for all to occur on the same coin is astronomically unlikely. That impossibility makes it alluring. Then, consider market dynamics. Early reports of this coin create legend, rumors spread, people want to own it, bidding wars happen, wealthy collectors compete, perhaps even museums or individuals with deep pockets, pushing price beyond anything typical. And media coverage makes it iconic. Now, of course, in reality, there is no widely documented 1995 penny known to fetch $11 million in auction, but hypothetically, if one exists, these are the errors that might justify that price tag: extreme die error, full date intact, unique misprint or misstrike, misalloy or wrong planchet, off-center strike, double die, missing or misplaced mint mark, clipped or partial rim. Provenance and condition. There is also the possibility of what's known in numismatics as first known specimen, meaning that this coin would be the first discovered that displays these errors, making it one of one, and that its discovery is recent, so its rarity is unquestioned. Collectors tend to prize first knowns extremely highly. Also, the kind of mistake that defrauds normal minting expectations, the kind that causes experts to examine the coin under microscopes, comparing with mint records, confirming that this coin could not have been reproduced intentionally, that it is not a modern counterfeit, that it matches what mint logs show as unseen errors. If mint logs reveal that a die was incorrectly engraved, or that a planchet of wrong alloy slipped through quality control, or that minting machines were misaligned on certain dies producing off-center strikes, then any coin with such signs can be cross-referenced and authenticated. Another possibility adding to the value is that the error coin has surviving receipts or mint documentation, or images in mint archives. Perhaps somebody snapped a photo of a die with an error before it was used, or mint management recorded the error, providing provenance. That can add tens of thousands or millions in value beyond just the physical coin. Also, a coin that remains unrestored, uncleaned, never polished, never damaged, retaining its original surfaces, original toning, or lack thereof, if proofs, or brilliant uncirculated, would be exponentially more valuable. Next, the 1991 cent coin that, despite its humble origin and seemingly negligible face value, has astonished collectors and investors alike by fetching prices upwards of $7 million. Today, we're going to unravel the mystery behind this incredible valuation, exploring the numerous errors, mistakes, and rare possibilities that have transformed what was once just an ordinary penny into a spectacular treasure that commands extraordinary sums in the numismatic community. Now, you might be wondering how a simple 1-cent coin, issued in 1990, could possibly be worth such an astronomical amount, and the answer lies deep within the peculiarities and imperfections that occurred during its production, turning a common item into a rarity prize for its uniqueness and story. To begin, it's important to understand the typical life cycle of a coin and how errors come to be. Coins are generally produced in vast quantities using highly automated, precision machinery designed to ensure uniformity and consistency, but on occasion, human error, machine malfunction, or die flaws introduce anomalies, whether in design, composition, or striking, that make a coin unique or exceedingly rare. These anomalies can include anything from misaligned strikes, double strikes, off-center images, incorrect planchets, to variations in metal content, or even completely wrong designs pressed onto the coin. The 1991 cent coin in question belongs to a rare subset of error coins that emerged from such mistakes. One of the key errors that make this coin so valuable is a significant misstrike that resulted in a drastically off-center image, with portions of the obverse design missing entirely and blank planchet metal visible, creating a striking visual deviation from the standard penny. This off-center strike, rather than rendering the coin useless, makes it a collector's dream because it is a verifiable mistake that occurred during the minting process and is not something that can be easily replicated or faked. But beyond just the off-center strike, the 1990 penny also exhibits what experts call a double die error, where the die used to stamp the coin has been struck twice in slightly different positions, causing the images or lettering on the coin to appear doubled or blurred. In the case of the 1991 cent coin, This doubling is pronounced on the date and on the inscriptions around the coin, giving it a surreal, almost ghostly appearance that further distinguishes it from ordinary pennies and adds layers to its collectability. This double die error is a well-known phenomenon in numismatics, but what makes the 1990 version exceptional is the combination of this with the off-center strike and other subtle errors, amplifying its rarity and uniqueness. Another important factor contributing to the coin's value is the presence of a rare die crack, a fissure in the die that produces raised lines or bumps on the coin's surface where the metal flows into the crack during striking. The 1990 penny features a prominent die crack running through the rim and into the field of the coin, a physical testament to the die's wear and fragility, which is highly sought after by collectors who prize such defects as evidence of the coin's production story and its limited occurrence. But it doesn't stop there. Further microscopic examination reveals that some 1991-cent coins were minted on incorrect planchets, pieces of metal blanks meant for other denominations or sometimes even from foreign alloys. In these instances, the coins have unusual color, weight, and density, making them a fascinating case study for metallurgists and collectors alike. These off-metal planchet errors can cause chemical reactions over time, affecting the coin's patina and creating striking, iridescent colors or textures that enhance their appeal and value. Interestingly, one of the rarest and most valuable varieties of the 1990 penny has what is called a clipped planchet error, where the blank metal piece is not fully round due to an imperfect cutting process, giving the coin a distinct shape that stands out immediately from the standard round coins. Clipped planchets are among the most prized errors because they represent a rare glimpse into the early stages of coin production and cannot be manufactured after the fact. The combination of all these errors, off-center strike, double die, die cracks, off-metal planchets, and clipped edges, make the 1991-cent coin a perfect storm of numismatic anomalies, each adding layers of rarity and desirability, thus driving its value into the multi-million-dollar range. Moreover, the coin's provenance and documented history also play crucial roles in its skyrocketing valuation. Many of these coins were discovered in circulation or through controlled mint searches by dedicated collectors, and their authenticity has been rigorously verified by leading grading services, who encapsulate the coin and certify its grade and error type, adding a level of trust and confidence that further fuels their market demand. Beyond the tangible errors, the story surrounding the 1991 cent is also filled with intrigue and speculation. Some numismatic experts believe that the errors may have been caused by a momentary lapse in quality control at one of the U.S. Mint's production facilities, possibly due to increased demand or rushed processes, making this coin a rare snapshot of a very specific and fleeting moment in minting history. Others have speculated that these errors are the result of deliberate experimental strikes or test pieces that were never meant to enter circulation but somehow slipped through the cracks, giving the coin an almost mythical status among collectors. The coin's fame has also been amplified by its appearances in high-profile auctions, where fierce bidding wars between wealthy collectors and investors have driven the price to unprecedented heights. These auctions often feature extensive documentation and expert testimonials that highlight the coin's errors, rarity, and condition, creating a perfect storm of supply and demand that continually pushes the market value upward. In addition, the 1991 cent story is intertwined with the broader history of coin collecting, where error coins have always held a special place as fascinating anomalies that challenge the norms of perfection and standardization, reminding us that even the most mass-produced objects can become unique artifacts with stories to tell. The cultural significance of the coin also cannot be overlooked. It's become a symbol of rarity, luck, and the unexpected value hidden in everyday objects, inspiring countless collectors to scour their change for similar treasures. It is also a testament to the complexity and beauty of coin minting, where even tiny mistakes can result in objects of immense interest and value, highlighting the intersection of art, history, technology, and chance. From a financial perspective, the 1991 cent coin represents a remarkable investment story. While many coins depreciate over time or remain stagnant in value, this coin's rarity and the human fascination with error coins have created a niche market where its worth has consistently appreciated, turning a 1-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar asset. Collectors and investors alike see this coin as a hedge against inflation, a tangible piece of history, and a shining example of how imperfections can become treasures. Furthermore, the coin's market is supported by a robust community of enthusiasts, dealers, and grading companies who continue to educate the public, authenticate new finds, and promote the coin's legacy, ensuring that demand remains strong for years to come. As technology advances, new tools such as digital microscopes and AI analysis are helping experts discover even subtler errors or variations in the 1990 penny, which may lead to new classifications or subtypes, further expanding the coin's lore and value. This ongoing research and discovery keep the excitement alive, reminding us that even decades after the coin's production, there are still secrets waiting to be uncovered. The rarity of the 1991 cent-era coin is underscored by the fact that only a handful of verified specimens exist in pristine condition, making each find an event celebrated by the collecting world. Many of these coins have ended up in private collections, museum exhibits, or high-security vaults, seldom seen by the public but forever etched in numismatic history. The chase for such a coin has driven some collectors to extraordinary lengths, from meticulously examining thousands of pennies to investing in specialized equipment and attending major coin shows around the globe. Their dedication highlights how a small object, once worth almost nothing, can become a symbol of passion, perseverance, and the joy of discovery. It is also worth mentioning the emotional connection many owners have with their 1991 cent coins, often recounting the story of how they stumbled upon such a rarity, the thrill of authentication, and the camaraderie found in collector communities that share their enthusiasm and knowledge. These personal narratives add a human element to what might otherwise be just a monetary discussion, reminding us that behind every coin lies a story waiting to be told. Last, 1997 D1 cent, a seemingly ordinary penny that has captured the attention of collectors and investors worldwide due to its staggering valuation, which has reportedly soared to an astonishing $16 million. This coin's immense worth is not born from its age or widespread circulation but rather from a unique combination of errors and mistakes that have transformed a humble 1-cent piece into one of the most coveted and talked about numismatic treasures of the modern era. The story behind the 1997 D1 cent is one filled with intrigue, serendipity, and the intricate complexities of coin minting processes, making it a perfect example of how imperfection can create unparalleled value. To fully appreciate why this penny commands such an extraordinary price, we must first understand the nature of the errors that distinguish it from the millions of other pennies minted in 1997, a year that otherwise seems ordinary in the annals of U.S. coin production. The 1997 D1 cent is linked to the Denver Mint, denoted by the D mint mark, and its production was part of the regular coinage process for that year. However, a series of errors during the minting process led to the creation of a coin that defies conventional expectations and demonstrates just how minute differences can dramatically increase rarity and desirability. One of the key errors involves what numismatists call a die clash, where the obverse, front, and reverse, back dies, the metal stamps used to strike the coin's design, collide without a planchet, blank coin, between them. This collision causes faint impressions of the opposite side's design to appear on each side of the coin. In the 1997 D1 cent, the die clash error resulted in ghostly images of Lincoln's portrait faintly appearing on the reverse, and the Lincoln Memorial faintly visible on the obverse, an anomaly that should never appear on a properly struck penny. While die clashes are not entirely unheard of, the severity and clarity of these ghost images on this particular penny make it unique. Moreover, the die clash on this coin was exacerbated by a misalignment in the dies, causing these ghost images to be off-centered and strangely distorted, a condition that intensified the coin's rarity and visual interest. Beyond the die clash, the 1997 D1 cent also displays significant doubling errors, a phenomenon known as double die. This occurs during the die creation process when the die is struck multiple times with a slight shift between strikes, causing doubled impressions of letters and design elements. On this penny, the doubling is most evident on the date 1997, the mint mark D, and the word Liberty which appear doubled and raised in a way that catches the eye and clearly differentiates the coin from standard issues. Such doubling errors are prized among collectors because they highlight a tangible moment where the minting process went awry, creating a visual oddity that cannot be replicated. The doubling on the 1997 D1 cent is particularly sharp and pronounced, suggesting that the error originated from a significant misstep during die preparation, making it a textbook example of a doubled die coin and a prized specimen for any serious numismatic collection. Adding to the coin's uniqueness is a rare off-center strike error, a type of minting mistake where the planchet is not properly aligned within the coin press, resulting in part of the design being cut off and a blank or partially struck area appearing on the coin. For the 1997 D1 cent, the off-center strike is notable because it reveals an incomplete Lincoln portrait on the obverse side, while the reverse exhibits a partially visible Lincoln memorial with a blank edge. This error is extremely rare for pennies from the Denver Mint in that year, making each off-center specimen highly sought after by collectors. The combination of the die clash, doubled die, and off-center strike on the same coin or on coins from the same error run creates an extraordinary narrative of minting mishaps converging to produce something far beyond a standard penny's worth. Another fascinating element that contributes to the 1997 D1 cent's value is the scarcity of the coins exhibiting these errors. While millions of pennies were minted at Denver in 1997, only a handful of specimens have been discovered with this exact combination of errors. This rarity is a crucial factor in its valuation, as collectors and investors alike understand that the fewer the coins with these errors exist, the higher their desirability and price. The supply-demand dynamic is at play here in a very direct way. These pennies are not only rare but also bear an intricate history that collectors treasure. It is also worth noting that the condition of these coins plays a significant role in their value. Coins that exhibit these errors but are heavily circulated, worn, or damaged naturally fetch lower prices. However, those that remain in mint state condition, with clear details of the doubling, ghost images, and off-center strikes, are exceptionally prized. Grading services such as PCGS and NGC have authenticated and graded these coins, further enhancing their credibility and marketability. High-grade examples can command multi-million-dollar prices due to the combination of their rarity, condition, and the dramatic visual appeal of their errors. The market for the 1997 D1 cent is not limited to numismatists. It has attracted attention from investors who view these coins as alternative assets. In an era where traditional investments like stocks and bonds are subject to volatility, tangible assets such as rare coins provide a unique opportunity for portfolio diversification. The 1997 D1 cent, with its extraordinary price tag and documented provenance, has become a symbol of how numismatic errors can translate into massive financial gain. Auction records have shown that bidders are willing to pay extraordinary sums to acquire one of these pennies, knowing that the coin's story, rarity, and verified authenticity make it a solid and appreciating investment over time. The historical significance of the coin is also noteworthy. It represents a snapshot of the U.S. Mint's operations in the late 20th century, a time when technology and human error intersected in the mass production of coinage. The errors found on this penny serve as a reminder that even in a highly mechanized and controlled process, mistakes can and do happen, sometimes leading to the creation of highly valuable collectibles. In fact, the 1997 D1 cent has sparked discussions among collectors and mint officials alike about quality control, die maintenance, and the complex factors that contribute to minting errors. Some experts believe that this coin may have been struck during a period when the dies were nearing the end of their usable life, which could explain the pronounced doubling and die clash. Others point to a possible misfeed or equipment malfunction that allowed a planchet to be struck off-center. Whatever the exact cause, the coin is a testament to the fascinating unpredictability of minting and the resulting treasure that can emerge from error. Beyond the technical aspects of the errors, the cultural and psychological factors also play a role in the coin's high valuation. Collectors are drawn not only to rarity but also to stories and mysteries behind their collectibles. The 1997 D1 cent tells a compelling story of imperfection turned into perfection for the collector, of a small mistake that has become a monumental opportunity. This narrative adds intangible value, making the coin not just a piece of metal but a symbol of chance, luck, and the human element within an industrial process. Additionally, the coin's story has been amplified by media coverage, online forums, and auction house publicity, creating a buzz that has further driven up demand. The rarity of the 1997 D1 cent and the excitement surrounding it have inspired countless collectors to scour coin rolls, attend auctions, and engage with experts in hopes of uncovering another specimen, feeding a cycle of interest and increasing the coin's mythos. Importantly, this coin has also contributed to a broader awareness of the value inherent in mint errors, encouraging collectors to pay closer attention to seemingly mundane pennies and other small denominations. It has elevated the status of mint errors from niche curiosities to significant investment-grade collectibles. For those curious about the potential future of this coin, speculation abounds. Given its rarity, historical significance, and already sky-high valuation, the 1997 D1 cent is likely to continue appreciating in value, especially as collectors recognize its place in numismatic history and as fewer specimens remain undiscovered or ungraded. Some experts predict that if a particularly high-grade, perfectly preserved specimen were to surface, it could shatter existing auction records, possibly pushing the price even higher than the current $16 million valuation. Moreover, the coin serves as a case study in numismatic circles for identifying, authenticating, and valuing error coins, helping collectors and dealers develop more nuanced expertise in spotting these valuable anomalies.